What is up everyone, today I got an exciting video for y'all. We'll be taking a look at an Open Great League tournament run for my friend Arrohh. He faced some of the absolute best players in this tournament, like Rise to the Occasion, who you might know from YouTube, or from his 2 regional tournament wins. Then we got Doombug97, who's also won a Play Pokemon regional tournament, and Bopper and Nighttime Clasher, who've got several top cut finishes at these Play Pokemon tournaments between them. So he's facing some incredible players, and I personally can't wait to get into these battles. First off, let me tell you just a little bit about the tournament format. This was a Play Pokemon Go League Cup, which are official Play Pokemon tournaments held locally by certain game stores which are Pokémon Company approved. So they're official tournaments. They gain you championship points if you place well, actually a decent chunk too. 50 points for winning is nothing to scoff at. That will get these players closer to their spot in the World Championships. Anyone can join in these tournaments, by the way, and even for less experienced players I highly recommend it, as it's just a great way to test the waters of the competitive scene and to link up with the local community, which is always fun. So if you are interested in joining, I'll put a link down in the description below to a tournament locator where you might be able to find some tournaments close by to you. Unfortunately though, you might not have any near you like I do, and this is because the local Pokemon Go scene, like Play Pokemon wise, hasn't been on for that long. In NA it's been like 6 months, maybe a year, and in EU it's only just begun like a week ago. So for me in EU, I don't have any tournaments near me right now, but I'm sure as the scene evolves, more and more tournaments start popping up. And if you do want to try to help with that, try reaching out to some of your local game stores that are already doing TCG or 3GG tournaments and see if they might want to host Go as well. Anyway, all the resources for that are down in the description, and you know, I hope to see you at a local tournament one day. Anyway, let's get into the tournament. Arrohh did win round number 1, but forgot to record, so we're heading straight into round number 2, where he'll be facing off against Doombug97 with a team consisting of Serperior, Sableye, Medicham, Lantern, Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and Shadow Kanto Ninetales. The CHARJABUG does look pretty good here, really only has to worry about that Kanto Ninetales, but Arroh's covered quite well for that with the Swampert and Carbink, so it might be scary for Doombug to bring that. Do expect Arrohh to bring the CHARJABUG here, probably covered by 1 or 2 Kanto Ninetales answers. We actually are gonna see 2 here with the Carbink and the Swampert. Arrohh running a line here that would be super weak to a Serperior lead, but luckily gets met by the Medicham. I think Arroh's idea with the Carbink lead Swampert CHARJABUG backline here is to just try to win the lead with Carbink, as Carbink is a pretty good lead for him, can win lead pretty easily versus Sableye, Kanto Ninetales, and Medicham kind of okay too. And then Lantern and Alolan Sandslash are pretty flippable as well. He gets a Rock Slide bait on the Medicham here, which is huge, because that means the Carbink should now be able to either win the one shield scenario or take both shields. He's gonna go for the Boom Blast right now. Let's see if Doombug shields this up. I think, yes, we are gonna see a shield. Arrohh, I think content with this. Just gonna let the Carbink go down at this point. Doombug throwing a move, doesn't want to take a Rock Slide. It wouldn't knock out, but it does do a decent chunk. I think he values his health over a little energy here. Makes sense, because Arrohh doesn't really have anything that loves taking counters, except for maybe CHARJABUG, but even that doesn't really love taking counters. Takes the Dynamic Punch on the Swampert, just really putting all his faith into a CHARJABUG sweep right now. Definitely not expecting the Kanto Ninetales, it seems, and there is no Kanto Ninetales, ends up being Serperior and the Alolan Sandslash in the back. Now, Alolan Sandslash, still not an amazing matchup for CHARJABUG, so this is gonna get very interesting. Can Arrohh, if Arrohh can farm this Alolan Sandslash all the way down, he's looking very good, as double X-Scissor should be able to knock out that Serperior. But if he can't, this is looking rough. Alright, Alolan Sandslash getting to another move here. This, I believe, is going to be an Ice Punch, which doesn't do enough. Can he get to another one? He doesn't get to another one. Double X-Scissor loaded. I do believe this is going to knock out their Serperior, but let's see. One comes through, puts the Serperior nearly not into the yellow. This is not gonna knock out. Can the Serperior get to a move though before the CHARJABUG is able to farm it down? Actually, it seems I was wrong. I think the Exeter did like exactly 50%, so the second one was actually enough to knock out GG there. Next match, we see CHARJABUG in the lead versus the Kanto Ninetales. This is worst case scenario for Arrohh. Has to switch out into the Metacham. He feels pretty safe switching Metacham in this Kanto Ninetales, as behind Kanto Ninetales you're not expecting a Sableye, which would be Doombug's only hard Metacham answer. The reason why you're not expecting Sableye then is because Arrohh just led Carbink, and the Kanto Ninetales Sableye core really has no play there. So against a good player like Doombug, you would not expect him to run a line that would be incredibly weak to a certain lead. So Arrohh can safely, or pretty safely, pivot into his Metacham and doesn't get met by the hard counter. And Sableye luckily instead got met by the Metacham, which was able to get quite low and actually get out of that matchup later on. So just saw with an Ice Punch loaded into the CHARJABUG. At this point he was fine taking that energy here and basically sacking the CHARJABUG at this point. It would get to a discharge on this Kanto Ninetales, which actually brings it quite low. I think that means the Kanto Ninetales has to throw a move. Yeah, it does. And now it has basically no energy to throw at whatever Arrohh brings in next. Likely gonna see a farm down with the Swampert. We do. And as long as it's not a superior, this is looking kind of okay for Arrohh. But unfortunately for Arrohh, it does end up being the superior. It makes a lot of sense, you know. Kanto Ninetales should come prepared for a potential Swampert, so pairing it with the superior makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, doesn't work out for Arrohh though, as Swampert has no play there. Can't even get the 2 Ice Punches here, so Arrohh just gets farmed down. GG's. Next match, Arrohh switches it up and doesn't bring the CHARJABUG, brings a superior Medi Carbink line instead. I think again this is a lineup where Arrohh just really likes to try to force switch advantage and then align his Metacham Carbink core on the right Pokeball basically. And sees the Sableye in the leader with the Superior, which is quite fine. Superior can take switch here. Shields up this move, ends up being returned. That's a massive, massive shield there. As that's just a lot of energy. That's a lot of energy. It's gonna fire off an Aerial Ace into this Metacham and now switch into his own. I think this might be a little bit of a mistake from Arrohh. Seeing at it as it is a Sableye lead, you would expect Doombug to have a very good answer to Carbink in the back, like his own Superior. And that would mean that Carbink is likely not gonna be that useful in the back. On the other hand though, he can grab switch here now and have Carbink aligned to that Sableye. So it might still be alright. Gonna go for the Psychic now, because you're gonna get Psychic Metacham. He does have a little advantage versus a Dynamic Punch Metacham like Doombug has. Out comes Sableye now. Ideally, you'd probably switch out your Metacham here, but unfortunately the timer is not up, so he's forced to stay in, throw an Ice Punch, and then get farmed down by the Sableye. Give it a lot of energy. Now you can align your Carbink though, and Sableye really can't do much damage versus Carbink, so has to switch out into Superior, and this is now looking rough. He does have his own Superior with a little energy, but it's so low health, it's not gonna get to more than 1 extra Aerial Ace. It does, or it will survive this Aerial Ace right here, just barely, and get to his own at very little health. This is nice because you get a shield here, and maybe Carbink is still able to reach a Rock Slide to knock out this Superior before it gets to several Frenzy Plants. Can it though? It's gonna be a race. Ooh, gets a Rock Slide right there before Doombug even throws a move. Does it knock out the Superior? It does not. Brings it very low. 1 move comes out from Doombug Superior. Arrohh does shield it up. It ends up being a Frenzy Plant, so that's a great shield. But the Superior gets to another move at 1 HP. Does it knock out the Carbink? It does not. Can the Sableye finish off the Carbink? Every move is resisted. Every charge move, every charge attack is resisted from his Sableye. Carbink eats up the first Foul Blade. Does he get to another? He gets to another at, again, pretty much 1 HP. And Doombug just barely wins this match and beats Arrohh 2-1. But Arrohh, even though he loses in round 2 here, is not out of the tournament. The way this tournament works is that there's first Swiss rounds, which in Swiss everyone just plays 4 rounds, and then the 4 players with the most wins move on to a single elimination top cut. So as long as Arrohh wins his remaining matches, he should be able to make the top 4 and still be able to play in top cut. Next up, Arrohh will be facing off against the Rise, who's running a team with Mandibuzz, Swampert, Medicham, Registeel, Dugong, and Cresselia. Arroh's CHARJABUG is looking absolutely incredible here. Really only have to worry about that Swampert, which he can cover super well with that Superior. That is also looking pretty good in the Rise's team. The Superior really only has to watch out for that Manabuzz Registeel, which CHARJABUG covers pretty nicely. So to form a good core to pair with those two, to be a little stronger against Registeel, I'd go with Swampert, Medicham, or Alolan Sandslash myself, but Arroh opts to go with a Carbink in the back, making this squad super weak to a Registeel lead, which he ends up leading into, and he switches into his only like actual Registeel answer, CHARJABUG, only to be met by the Shadow Swampert from Riser. So far, this is not looking too great for Arroh, because if he gets that Registeel aligned to the Carbink later on in this match, that's gonna be absolutely terrible for him. What is good for him though is that he just shielded that Earthquake from the Swampert. That's a huge shield, because that's a lot of energy that Rise just wasted on a shield. Arroh actually gonna try to fully farm down here, I think. Shields of this Hydro Cannon. Can he farm down? He does farm down with a CHARJABUG, especially versus Shadow Swampert. And X's does so much and allowed this CHARJABUG to fully farm down. Out comes Registeel now. These discharges are definitely gonna add up. He gets to another one. Wow. CHARJABUG just really popping off here. This Registeel is already in the yellow. We'll get to a move now. And Arroh is still pretty weak versus Registeel. I don't think this Registeel is in a frenzy range yet. Though it might be after this, yeah. Whoa, not even getting a debuff. Wow, okay, this discharge will almost threaten to knock out then. CHARJABUG really popping off. Arroh opting to switch out into Superior as Rise also switches into the Cresselia. Simultaneous switch. Superior is pretty okay into Cresselia. Especially when you're even on energy, because then you will outpace. If Rise was able to get a little energy lead there, could have been scary. But now Superior can easily get to 2 frenzies. Rise was in a shield advantage though, so I was able to block the first move, take the second. Now should get to a move before Superior does. It does. By the way, this looks to be a Future Sight Grass Knot Cresselia. Really like this moveset with Future Sight Grass Knot. Cresselia can actually beat Powder Snow, Alolan Sandslash in the zeros, which is pretty crazy. Alright, Carbink comes out, just gonna farm everything down. First the Registeel, then there's a Rock Slide loaded for Cresselia, and the Carbink sweeps the game. After getting such a bad lead, I'm surprised Arroh was able to play out of that, but CHARJABUG just really popped off, and that was really nice to see. Next game, Arroh goes for a team that's a little stronger versus the Registeel with Medicham lead. Again, picks up a terrible lead, probably the worst lead, actually definitely the worst lead you could have seen with the Cresselia. So switches out into the CHARJABUG again, because that's going to be his pivot. Even versus Shadow Swampert, as we saw, this matchup is really not too bad. He's going to shield the first move once more. This time it's just a Hydro Cannon, so that's a little more favorable for Rise this time. Arroh, over farming a lot, allows his Swampert to basically get to Earthquake energy before throwing his move. Decides to shield the Hydro Cannon bait there, and now he's gonna fire off his X-Scissors. I don't think this knocks out yet. Oh, this is a Hydro Cannon. This doesn't knock out, but does the X-Scissor knock out? I don't think I've ever played my CHARJABUG versus Shadow Swampert. If this does, that's absolutely insane. Does it though? Oh my goodness! CHARJABUG wins the 2 shields there? That's absolutely crazy. Arrow flips switch advantage with the CHARJABUG. Brings out the Reggie now. Gets to the X-Scissor on this Reggie. Can now bring in Medicham here. And then it's going to be all up to the Superior to beat this Cresselia. Out comes the Cresselia now. Registeel is still the worst versus Medicham, by the way, as Arrow is not running the Dynamic Punch moveset. It's running Ice Punch Psychic, which means the charge moves don't do anything versus Reggie. So there might still be some play for Rise. It's just gonna be really difficult. It's gonna depend on how well this Cresselia does here, really. Arrow gonna get to another Frenzy Plant. This will put the Cresselia into the red. But I'm pretty sure Crest knocks out the Superior here. As long as this is a Future Sight. This is a Grass Knot. I don't think it knocks out. It is a Future Sight. Oh, he tries to go. Oh, wants to farm down. But I think the undercharge was a little bit too much. It allows the Superior to get to the Frenzy Plant here. And that will put the Registeel into a range where Arrow can just nicely farm down. Wow. Alright, CHARJABUG just really showing its strength there by being able to flip that awful lead scenario and switching scenario versus the Swampert. that was just incredible. And then Metacham was just able to get a line to Registeel and sweep the game. GG's there. In round number 4 of Swiss, Arrohh runs into Nighttime Clasher, who's running a team with Superior, Sableye, Metacham, Shadow Alolan Ninetales, Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and Carbink. I'm thinking Arrow's own Alolan Sandslash looks good here, as it hard wins 2 matchups, is fine versus 3 others, and only really has to watch out versus Metacham. But if he can cover for that well, he should be in a good spot. In round number, or game number 1, he does bring the Shadow Alolan Sandslash, backed up by a Swampert lead, and he faces off the Metacham in the lead here, which is pretty ideal, honestly, because now he knows that he can likely have the his Alolan Sandslash avoid this Metacham. This is, by the way, this Metacham matchup is one of the reasons why you see a lot of people not playing Shadow Swampert anymore and opting to go to regular instead, as you are bulkier, you can take the counters and the Psychic much easier, and that allows this Swampert to actually get to a second Hydro Cannon versus Metacham here and take a shield. Arrohh now lost switch advantage, but does have a shield up, which if he can get rid of this Metacham using Carbink, shield up Alolan Sandslash, should be looking pretty incredible in the back. Nighttime Clasher opts to stay in with the Metacham here, goes for a Psychic. Arrohh lets it go. Actually, just gonna opt for a full farm down, it seems. Carbink is just way too tanky. This Pokemon is busted. It eats up another Psychic, is able to farm down a Metacham all the way with resisted Rock Throws, and comes out with a bunch of energy. He switches out instantly though against his Superior, coming in into his Alolan Sandslash, met by another Alolan Sandslash, put a shield up, energy up. Arrohh is looking to just sweep this game entirely with his Alolan Sandslash. Does shield up a bait, but ultimately that really shouldn't matter. Loses CMP. This is far from ideal for Arrohh, but it's fine. It's super fine. It's another Ice Punch bait. Doesn't really matter. This drill run is gonna knock out the Sandslash, and the Superior has very little play versus Arrow's Sandslash. Does get off a Frenzy. Sandslash is pretty squishy, so you're gonna see this do a very good chunk. Probably bring it into the red, or nearly into the red. It's only yellow though. It's gonna need a full Frenzy Plant still to knock it out, and it's just not gonna get there, because Arrohh also already has a move loaded on the Carbink, which he fires off right now, takes out the Superior, and takes game number 1. Next game, we see a Metacham into Superior lead, with again the Alolan Sandslash in the back on Arrow's side, so should be very happy with this lead scenario, as he now likely avoids getting Nighttime Clasher's Metacham on his Alolan Sandslash. Even though Metacham has super effective Ice Punches here to hit the Superior, this is still a pretty good matchup for Superior, as Frenzy Plant is just a super strong move, and 2 of them, or even Frenzy Plant plus Aerial Ace, is enough to knock out a Metacham. Another Frenzy Plant coming out, Nighttime Clasher opting to double shield the Metacham. Gonna shield up this move on Arrow's side, I would imagine, and he does. At this point, I don't think the Metacham is in Frenzy range quite yet. Arrohh does throw it here. Does it knock out the Metacham? Oh, it does! It was in Frenzy range. It knocks out the Metacham. In comes Alolan Ninetales now. Arrohh just barely getting to the Frenzy Plant. Knows that that final charm should not register. And it hits the Alolan Ninetales. Is now able to bring in his Carbink. Or not his Carbink, his Alolan Sandslash into the Alolan Ninetales. Gets a little energy. Nighttime Clasher responds with Carbink. But Carbink does not enjoy these drill runs. But even though they're super effective, they do kind of a disappointing amount of damage, to be honest. This next one won't even knock it out quite yet, but it will come close enough for sure. Rock Slide does not knock out the Alolan Sandslash either. This drill run will put the Carbink deep into the red, likely in farm down range for this Metacham. Yeah, it is. And now Metacham should be able to finish off this game with a couple counters. GG there. With that win against Nighttime Clasher, Arrohh moves on into the top cut single elimination bracket, where first off he'll face off against Bopper, who's in a pretty spicy team with Superior, Guzzlord, Metacham, Lantern, Clefable, and Kanto, Shadow, Ninetales. Some pretty interesting picks by Bopper, especially that Clefable looks a little scary for Arrohh, because he doesn't have a straight hard counter for it. But Clefable does lack in like neutral scenarios, so Swampert Superior should probably be able to deal with it quite well. And the Steel type Alolan Sandslash, of course, does very fine there too, but he will have to watch out for those Meteor Mashes. Arrohh goes in with a Charjabug lead game number 1 and gets met by the Metacham. Even though Charjabug resists the counters here, Metacham is just a little tankier and just has better moves, so this is actually a pretty even matchup. You're gonna see this X-Scissor doesn't even do that much. No way you're ever gonna farm this down afterwards. And the Psychic Hair will do quite a bit. So Charjabug does shield it up. Goes to shield down. But does have a lot of energy now. Bopper tries to catch a move on Clefable. Doesn't work out though. Instead gets met by the Superior. This is a super risky line by Arroh, by the way. Leading Charjabug a bit Superior. The back would just fold to a Kanto Ninetales lead, but luckily for Arrow, it wasn't the Kanto Ninetales. Ended up being the Medicham, which ended up working out quite positively for him, because now he's able to just align the Superior on the Clefable, and this is a pretty good matchup. He has to use a shield here, but he can now just farm all the way down and have a lot of energy for whatever is left in the back. And unless that's a Guzzlord or Kanto Ninetales, it does a lot of damage. Ends up being Guzzlord though, so this area waste really won't do that much, but he can easily just bring in Carbink here and farm it down. He actually opts to go into Charjabug here though, which I think is a bit of an odd play, as he could really just let a Superior go down and lock this Guzzlord into the Carbink, but instead he opts to go to Charjabug, take both shields, which I guess works too. Because Guzzlord fails to throw a move here, and now you bring in Carbink, and Carbink can definitely just sweep the game. Carbink is definitely Guzzlord's worst nightmare. It's doing double resisted with the fast moves and only single resisted with a Crunch or a Brutal Swing. If it's running Sludge Bomb, it's neutral, but most Guzzlord don't run Sludge Bomb, and yeah, Bopper knows that it's over. So at this point, he basically just conceded the match. He said, Arrow, just farm me down. Moonblast the Medicham, and that's a good game. We're just gonna speed it up here. Moonblast takes out the Medicham, and we're gonna move into game number 2. Arrow again goes with a lineup that just folds to a Kanto Ninetales lead, but luckily he doesn't see it. Instead he sees Lantern, which is just super positive for this Superior, so Bopper forced to switch out into Clefable. It is also not a great matchup for Clefable. But after throwing a Frenzy, Arrow switches out. Alolan Sandslash actually not that bad of a matchup for Clefable, as 2 meter meshes will knock out, but because the Clefable was already a shield down, Arrow's Alolan Sandslash should be able to easily maintain switch advantage here. He's gonna have to shoot up this next mash though. Gets off the draw now. If this gets no shielded by Bopper, I expect we're gonna see a farm down. Arrow even undercharges that, so can get a little bit more farm with the Alolan Sandslash, and that was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Gets another drill run loaded, and the opponent concedes the match because, oh my goodness, I don't know what it was in the back, but the Alolan Sandslash already had a drill run loaded. There's a Superior to just completely wall off the Lantern, and I think Bopper just didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel anymore and decided to just concede that match. All right, well, GG. That means Arrow moves on into the Grand Finals. In the Grand Finals, Arrow is again facing off against Doombug 97, who we saw beat Arrow earlier on in the tournament with his lineup consisting of Superior, Sableye, Medicham, Lantern, Shadow and Sandslash, and Shadow Kanto Ninetales. We saw Arrow rely a lot on his Charjabug and Carbink in this best of 3. Let's see if he does the same here. Game number 1, we see Medicham into a Lantern. This is a pretty even matchup. A little worse with Psychic than it is with Dynamic Punch, but still very fine. Arrow goes for a risky Ice Punch bait here. Do we see a shield from Doombug? We do. Wow, I can't believe that paid off for Arrow there. That is so incredibly risky, but clearly he's played Doombug several times already and knows exactly his playstyle and throws the bait based on that and ends up working out. Shields up the second serve here. Is he gonna go for another bait? He does not. He just goes for the Psychic here. Doesn't want to risk a Ice Punch getting no shielded. This, oh, the Psychic does get no shielded. Wow, that's big. Lantern survives at 1 HP though. Arrow opting to go for the switch advantage here. Doombug has been liking that Superior in the last best of 3 they played. So Arrow wants to get a Charjabug aligned there, and very smartly does shield a Medicham and ends up being the Superior. So that was a good call by Arrow, because you really don't want that Swampert to land to the Superior, of course. This, with the amount of energy Superior has, can still be quite scary though, as a Frenzy does do a decent chunk, but we'll need like 2 more charge moves, so knock out the Charjabug at this point. Is gonna get to the X-Scissor. This gets shielded by the Superior. Superior gonna get to another move here. I think at this point, play might be double Areaways, but doing a Frenzy just to get it low makes sense too. Oh, wow! The simultaneous switch. Arrohh is expecting Doombug to try to catch the X-Scissor or whatever he has in the back. So he switches his Swampert into a grass type basically and catches the Kanto Ninetales on the switch. That's an incredible read by Arrohh there. Is able to take out the Kanto Ninetales, Hydro Cannon the Superior, and win game number 1. Next up, Arrohh brings Alolan Sandslash into a Lantern lead. This is a pretty even lead, I'd say, though, because it's Power Stone Alolan Sandslash. This generally goes in favor of a Lantern, as a Drill Run, as you're gonna see right now, doesn't really do enough to put it into Powder Snow farm down range. Arrohh running this Medicham Carbink backline, which is kind of dependent on getting switch advantage. Not looking incredible here, but maybe the Alolan Sandslash can still win 2-0. Goes for Ice Burst there, takes a shield and actually opts to give up search advantage by catching this move on Medicham, wasting some of this Lantern's energy right now. Lantern gonna stay in for a little bit longer, farming up to close to a move, and out comes the Kanto Ninetales. I think this is a very smart switch in from Doombug. Kanto Ninetales really doesn't do the best versus Medicham, as his Psychic's gonna do a lot. But seeing as there's an Alolan Sandslash in the lead, Doombug is likely expecting a very hard answer to this Kanto Ninetales in the back from Arrohh, so Carbink or Swampert. So he's better off just using it here, when it still has some play at least, than having it potentially aligned versus that Carbink later. So very smart move by Doombug here. Still has to find a way to play around that Sandslash though. He's going to take this Ice Punch on the Superior. Arrohh switches in the Alolan Sandslash. Gonna go for the Ice Punch now. Gonna take a shield from Doombug Superior. Ideal. Doombug farming up. Switches into the Lantern, which did have a move loaded. Knocks out the Alolan Sandslash with a Surf. Superior has a lot of energy too, but I'm not sure if it's enough to be able to take out both this Carbink and the Medicham. Superior is gonna come in. Gonna get to a move before his Rock Slide most likely. I think he has a double Frenzy. That should be enough to knock out the Carbink, but will be able to outpace the Medicham too. Gets to the Frenzy Plant on the CMP tie with this Carbink. This will knock out the little rock. It does. Can he outpace the Medicham though? I think he will be able to. Might even farm it down. But it gets to the Aerial Ace. This should knock out the Medicham, and Doombug takes a very close game number 2. GG's. And it comes down to game number 3. This is the one battle that will decide who wins this entire tournament. And Arrohh opts to play a lineup with Carbink, Superior, and CHARJABUG, and leads the Carbink into Alolan Sandslash. This is definitely not ideal, as Alolan Sandslash can beat Carbink here, but Carbink does put up a great fight, so it can stay in there, which is good, because Arrohh also has its Superior in the back, which really doesn't want to see this Alolan Sandslash. So I think Arrohh is actually kind of happy with this lead right now, as getting Alolan Sandslash out of the way with his Carbink likely means that his Superior has a ton of play in the back. Actually gonna shoot up that Drill Run, keeps the Carbink alive for whatever's in the back, and Opshooter's instantly switches to Superior, it seems, no matter what comes in. It ends up being the Lantern, which Doombug, of course, has to avoid with the Lantern, so switches out into Sableye. Sableye, not the best answer to Superior, but it is a shield up. So might be finds also energy down though, which is definitely not ideal. Arrohh gonna shield this up at this point. I think he's able to fully farm down this Sableye. Yeah. Not before he gets to a foul play though. This will do a decent chunk. We'll put it in range where the Lantern will be able to take it out with a Surf. But this Superior is already a double Frenzy. Arrohh throws a kind of risky bait with this Aerial Ace, but obviously it does get shielded by this Lantern. He goes for another one? That's wild. You know, if I was Doombug, I would consider no shielding this, because that might be your only chance of winning. Oh my goodness. He might even get another Frenzy. Nah, I think he gets sparked down. I think he gets sparked down if he tries to bring in the Superior again. Gets surfed by this Lantern now. Carbink gets taken out, goes to the Superior, doesn't get to the move. Oh no, he doesn't get to the move. Gives the Lantern another spark, and if this Lantern is able to get to 3 surfs before the CHARJABUG can get to double X-Scissor, this might be over. CHARJABUG gets to double X-Scissor now, but if the Lantern has a surf loaded, he can CMP tie. But no, a spark comes through. CHARJABUG would win CMP here. So even if the Lantern has a Surf loaded, the CHARJABUG wins it. CHARJABUG wins Charge Attack Priority. Will take out the Lantern. And Arrohh wins the tournament. GG's. Congrats to Arrohh on that win there. And thank you very much for sending me the videos. Everyone, go check out Arrohh on Twitch. He streams his GBL sets there often, so if you want to see more of his gameplay, go follow him there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Good luck with your battles, traders.